Hey gardeners, I wanted to do a plant profile for you today on a tree that's somewhat new to my garden. It's right here in front. It is called the ice cream bean. It's an evergreen that's in the legume family that's native to South America. This tree in front was planted last spring, so it's only been in the ground for about a year. This is not the only one that I have in the yard. I actually have quite a few. I have 7 in total. 6 of them are Inga edulis, at least sold to me as that variety. And I have another tree called Inga spectabilis that is the Machete form of the tree. What really appeals to me with this tree is you can see it just has this natural spreading canopy. So it makes for a really great shade tree in that respect. You don't have to force that form. It will just do that on its own. It favors that. As we come into the foliage here, you can see that it is a compound leaf. So it basically bears 4 to 6 pairs of leaflets on each leaf. As we come up to the top here, you can see the new foliage has this coppery kind of sheen to it. So really attractive tree on the foliage. Here's another example of an Inga edulis that I planted just last year in the ground. These grow very rapidly, which is why they're used as a permaculture plant. This is also nitrogen producing plant. So it's able to pull nitrogen out of the atmosphere and then use it for itself and also push it to other nearby plants. As I was doing research, I learned that actually there's a foundation in Central America that is using this tree to combat slash and burn agriculture. So instead of that practice that's very destructive to the land, they plant rows of these ice cream bean tree between high value crops like coffee. The heavy pruning of the tree and just the leaf matter that falls from it naturally creates a heavy mulch that the plants do really well with. And that's just not unique to Central America. Inga edulis is used in Florida for the same purpose, to help shade and protect and provide nutrition to crops like coffee, cacao, tea, other sensitive crops. So it's a really great companion plant and doesn't have aggressive root systems that would hurt sensitive plants nearby. This isn't edible as well, so the tree does produce pods that have a white cottony flesh that many say tastes like vanilla ice cream. This tree cannot be grown everywhere. It's only suited for climates of 9B and above, so it does need a warm climate. What's nice is my yard did see down to 26 degrees Fahrenheit this past winter, and this tree was not protected at all and was able to handle that. So these trees, because they grow so fast, once they're mature at 2 years old, they might get zapped at the top from mid-20s or from a frost event, but they will bounce back that following year. So most sources online say that these trees will start blooming within 2 to 4 years. To my surprise, it is end of April here. This tree has only been in the ground for a year, if that, and I'm seeing at the end of a couple of the branches flowers in bloom. So that's pretty incredible. This one is a little bit precocious, really took off in this area, and is putting on its first set of flowers. So these are fragrant, they're white, and you can see that protruding stamen. That looks pretty cool on this plant. So these flowers are hermaphroditic, meaning they are self-fertile. You don't need a second tree to get fruit set. And they're pollinated by various species. At least in the rainforest, these plants are primarily pollinated by ants, believe it or not. And I do find that ants are attracted to this tree. I often see them crawling up, so potentially a good chance for these to get pollinated. We're not too hot here, so hopefully the pollen, is viable, and potentially we get some pods set here. Another benefit of this tree is how easy it is to propagate. This is exclusively propagated by seed, and it germinates readily, 95 to 100% rate, and within a very short period of time, just 2 to 3 days. So very easy to propagate this tree. So just walk over to a few more in the yard. These all have been planted less than a year in the ground, all started as 3-gallon. Here's another example of an Inga edulis here. See those beautiful bronzed leaves coming out here. You can actually see those ants crawling on the tree. So who knows, maybe the ants are the primary pollinators for our area as well. So I learned a little late with this plant. It wasn't until just a couple years back that I got introduced to it from another YouTube channel called Tropical Central Valley out in California, Central California. His YouTube channel really talked to the benefits and showed how well these plants do in a hot desert-like climate. Here's another example, a younger example of another Inga edulis. Here we have another example of a young Inga edulis that will be providing shade canopy to this area that's planted out with tropical and sweet cherries. The reason I wish I had known about this plant earlier is because 7 years back when I started this food forest, I did what so many do by planting out standard fruiting mulberry trees. So mulberry is great if you have the space, but if you're in a backyard culture, you'll find that over the years, and we're talking 6-7 years in the ground, they can get quite aggressive root systems. And I was noticing that nearby plants, sensitive plants, were not doing so well. Loquats. And what was happening was those mulberry roots were invading my other plants, robbing water, robbing nutrition, and causing stunted growth in them. Also, mulberry offers no foliage in the wintertime, which might be a good thing. In my case, it's not ideal because I want foliage in the winter from an evergreen so it can protect sensitive plants again from frost. Mulberry's just not going to do that. Ice cream bean can. It's an evergreen, like I mentioned, and can take that frost for sensitive plants once it matures. Also, like I mentioned, it's used in agriculture with sensitive crops, so it does not have that aggressive root system. It still is an extremely fast grower and will provide the shade canopy that I'm looking for. So it really provides all the key aspects that I want out of a shade tree here. Nestled against this bamboo is the Machete variety. This one's a little different in that the pods can get really long, like over a foot. See how this one does. I hope you enjoyed this plant profile on the ice cream bean tree. Let me know if you have questions. Thanks for watching and happy gardening.